What's everyone? It's Matt Mrozek, and this will be work in progress number 7 on the Hellboys. Had to take a break for a few nights because work and family and stuff. So back on it tonight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work on the leather belts. I decided to do this because it's a long process and it's slow. It's a cool technique, and I've got a lot of compliments on the leather, kind of some of the leather effects I get. So again, this is a technique I just kind of, I don't know if anyone else has come up with it. It's something I came up with when I was doing my Punisher versus the Walking Dead kits when I wanted to do a leather holster. And this is what I came up with, and it worked really well, so I keep doing it. So basically, these are all, the legs have been primed in Style Res Black, and we're going to use gouache watercolors. I've got basically some browns, oranges, and yellows out here. I've got burnt umber, burnt sienna. I've got, is this black? What is this? No, burnt umber. It's another burnt umber. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, orange yellow, orange red, some mid yellow or medium yellow, and some yellow ochre. So with the combination of all these, we're going to get leather on these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one color at a time on each pant. That way they're all similar. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Recording? Yes, okay, sorry. I'm using a new camera and a microphone, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me better. So I just got a kind of a medium-sized flat brush, and I'm going to start with this set. And there's really no order as to which color. I'm trying to think what I did last time. I think I started with a darker color, so like burnt sienna, which has got it's like a red brown. So we're gonna start with that. And I use these straight. I don't thin them or anything. I have to buy some more. I'm starting to get low on these. So I'm gonna put some here on my paper plate. Let's put a little bit at a time because again these dry out pretty quickly. And if I don't use this fast enough, I will add a little water. So basically I just get a little bit on my brush, and we're going to just stipple it on here. So I get this somewhere where I can work and you guys can see what I'm doing. So again, I'm just going to take this as this is burnt sienna. I'm just going to stipple it on there. And don't worry about getting it on other stuff because you're going to. That's why I'm doing this first. Just stipple it on there, just like this. And again, I'll just do part of this and I'll time lapse it, and I'll show you the end result. I'll do it on all 3 sets of pants. You know, you don't want to cover up the black completely. You want to see some of that through. And you'll notice that it's kind of bright right now, but as it dries down, it darkens. Just like that. And you don't worry about any shading or anything yet. We're going to do that later with the airbrush. Right now we're getting the texture going here. Make sure you get around the edges and everything. I kind of forgot that on the first Hellboy, and I had to go back and redo the edges because I was like, oh, I didn't get the edges very good. So it's not the end of the world, but and your brush is going to get pretty gnarly. So this brush I have it's been used quite a bit. I'm actually due to buy another set of cheap brushes. I buy a set of cheap brushes every few projects because, like I said, I'm terrible about cleaning my brushes. So I just go to Hobby Lobby with the 40% coupon, and I get a set of, $12 or $13 brushes that have a little bit of everything, and it cost me like $6. And I figured, if it costs me a couple dollars per project for brushes, I'm doing okay. The nice thing about this, if you kind of get too much in one area, just kind of keep dabbing at it, and the brush will pick some of it back up, and you can just kind of use it somewhere else. So for this technique gives you a certain type of leather look. If you notice the pouches I did, It's kind of a smooth looking. All right, let's try this again. I'll have to get a new SD card for this camera because apparently the one I have isn't fast enough for the setting I had, so I adjusted my resolution a little bit. So anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the technique. So like airbrush gives you a certain look, kind of like smooth look. This will give you more like a worn kind of leather look. So, which I think is appropriate for this belt. So, again, this is a multi-step process. I'm doing it, everything, lots of layers. Layers, layers, layers. The more layers, the more depth you're going to get. As long as you can see all those layers. Now, if you cover up the previous layer, then there's no point to it. But so you want to see all those layers working together. That's why I want to see some double black coming through. Don't want to cover it all up. I want to see that a little bit here and there. One thing we're going to do different this time, I think. I don't know. I'll wait till I get there and see if I want to do. I'm not going to tell you what I think I want to do. I'm going to get this done and then see if I want to do something a little different than I did on the last. Oh boy, we'll see. I want to test it out off camera first before I do it. Yeah, so just going to dab, 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 dab. Just like this. So I think you get the idea. So I'm just going to throw this on time lapse and go ahead and do this. Okay, so there's the first set of pants done with the burnt umber, and you can kind of see what that looks like. Nothing too exciting to look at right now, it's just real messy, but we're going to get there eventually. So I'm going to do the other two, and I'll just go ahead and time-lapse those two while I'm at it. Okay, so we got the first color down, and let's check these out. I better pause this movie before YouTube gets in my case. So, you can see we got all this. This is still a little wet, but as you can see, it dries down and kind of turns this kind of orange-brown color. And they're obviously not all exactly the same, which is fine. So now we'll move on to the next color. And I'm going to do, for that, I'm going to clean out my brushes a little bit here. And I don't, this is one of the processes I do where I don't seal in between steps, because I like kind of like the overlaying colors to kind of blend with the other color. So as I put this next color on, it will kind of reactivate the burnt umber and then just kind of blend them together. So, also that was burnt sienna. That was burnt sienna. Sorry, not burnt umber. Let's see, burnt umber is quite a bit darker. I'm not going to do that quite yet. Actually, yeah, I'll do burnt umber. So this is more brown. And I'm just going to put a little bit out for now. And we're going to do the same process. Pretty simple. And we're just going to go right on top of this without sealing it. It's like a little burnt umber here. Dry out my brush a little bit, because I really don't want a wet brush. I don't know if you saw through that time lapse, but there's a spot on the last one I did where there was like a big glob of paint. I just went in there with some water and I took it off, and then I just reapplied and it blended in. So a little burnt umber. Now, I didn't tell you, but I do kind of dab some of the paint off, so it's not just a loaded brush. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come in here and just kind of do this. And again, I'll just do part of it. But you can already see that right here, how those colors are blending together. And I'm still seeing all the way through down to that black. So I think you can see right there. A little too much there in the middle. Let's see if I can pick some of that back up. So I kind of covered that up too much, so I may have to go back and add a little more of the burnt sienna right there. It's fine. It's an easy technique to go back and forth if you kind of screw up a little bit. And at first this is going to look really flat. There's going to be a whole lot of dimension to it. But as we get further along in the process, when I start shading things, it'll really pop. Again, we're just laying down the groundwork. Sorry, I may not have been in camera. Again, I don't want to cover up my previous color. I just want to add to it and kind of blend. Doesn't take a lot. That first color kind of takes the longest because you're not really trying to cover. You're just trying to get the kind of a base color down, so it just takes a little bit longer. You start adding these second and third colors and fourth colors, it doesn't take quite as long. This is kind of like the red. You're just kind of shifting the color back and forth till you kind of get what you want. Yeah, so like right there's a big old glob of burnt umber, so I'm going to go back and add a burnt sienna here in a little bit to kind of do that spot over. But it's a really nice effect. It gives it a really cool, man, it's like the first time I did this, I was like, man, that looks really freaking amazing. So we're bringing this down, and then the next color we're going to do is going to kind of bring it way up. Yeah, I think you have to get a different SD card. This one's it's telling me, my camera's telling me that's too slow. I can't write fast enough for what I'm doing. So we'll see how this video turns out tonight. Hopefully it turns out, because this is a neat technique. It can give you some really cool results. And I mean, you can do in all sorts of different colors. I mean, you can add reds. If you want like a red leather, you can do greens. If you want like a white leather, you can do tans. So yeah, it's a really neat technique. So real quick, I'm going to go back and add a little of that burnt sienna to that spot that I kind of obliterated right here. Oops, that brush is wet. Uh-oh. That's not the end of the world. Great thing about watercolors is they're forgiving. So that brush was full of water. We'll see if we can. Let's go back with this brush. Just gotta reintroducing the burnt sienna right there. Okay, just like that. And it's really easy to blend in. And then we'll let that dry, and we'll come back and do the burnt umber. But I'm putting very little of that burnt umber on my paint. That's what kind of screwed up that spot. I just had way too much on my brush, and as soon as I hit it, it just killed the first color. I think this is still recording. It says I'm still recording. I'm getting a slow card message, so we'll see what happens. Oh no. Again, this is a different camera. I'll stop recording for a little bit, so who knows. So I recorded the whole process of this color because, again, this didn't take very long to do this, and right here I'm just going to blend that back in where I had reintroduce some of the burnt sienna, and then I'll do the other 3 pants, and then we'll add some yellow, and then that's going to bring it way up, but that's okay, we're going to bring it back down. So that looks like about it for this color on this set of legs. Looks pretty good. See, we're still seeing the black, we're still seeing the burnt sienna, we're still seeing all that stuff going on. You haven't killed anything, and if you do kill it, with the watercolors, it's super easy to fix it. You just take it off with some water and then just build it back up. And it takes just a minute or two to fix it if you mess it up. So it's not hard to fix. So it makes this a very forgiving process. All right. So let me show you the difference. So here's just the first color by itself, and here's what it looks like with the second color. So big difference, but it's getting there. So we'll do the next 2. Okay, so we're done with the burnt umber for now. May go back to that a little bit later. Now we're going to add some yellow and oranges to this. So this is going to get pretty loud pretty quick. But again, we're going to bring it up and then we're going to bring it back down. So I'm going to start with some yellow orange. Actually, no, I'm going to stick with a red orange. I'm just going to put a little bit of this on the palette or my paper plate. It's not really a palette. So this is gonna kind of go kind of weird looking. That's all right. We're gonna, again, I just need a little bit. Get most of it off. And then we're gonna start putting this on. Again, I didn't seal it. I'm going right on top. I'm gonna let all these colors kind of meld together. I did clean my brush out a little bit though. Just putting some water and clean out just a little bit, and then I try to get most of the water out, as much of the water out as I could. I don't want these wet. I want these full strength. This orange isn't doing a whole lot to it right now, actually, but that's okay. It is just, again, just kind of shifting the color a little bit. But the more you sit here and stipple it, the more it blends together. So you can control how drastic or how smooth you want these colors to blend. The more I sit here and I work it, the smoother it'll get. Or I should say the softer look it'll get. It also depends how much paint you put on your brush. If you put a lot on right away, then it's hard to, once it dries, until you reactivate it, it doesn't do anything. So I try to put just a little. Ideally, I don't have to do that too often. I did on the one pair earlier when I was doing the burnt umber. I didn't have enough of the raw sienna on a few spots, so I added a little bit and kind of worked it from there. Too much, way too much. So I've got a bunch. I've got like this is 3 Hellboys I'm doing at once. In total, I've got contracts for 8. So I've got 5 more to do after these. 9 if I do my own personal one. So I don't know if I'll do a video series on every single one of them. So far, everyone basically wants the same look as the first one I did. Everyone really likes it, so which is fine. They all won't look exactly the same anyway. Even these 3 that I'm doing together won't look exactly the same. They'll be close, but you know, there's a lot of variables that go into the final look of something. Like the only way I think you could get something to look exactly the same over and over again, this is just me, if you're just doing solid colors. Now, I may have to stop here and change batteries here in a second. But there are guys that paint like those custom heads, and they all look virtually the same. So you know they've got a process down. Their technique is down, so where they can repeat the same thing many times. I'm assuming they have an assembly process similar to this when they do stuff like that. You know, if you're doing like an edition size of 50 custom heads for a Wolverine or Superman, that you do all the base coating, then all the midtones and all the highlights and all the, you know, you do it exactly the way I'm doing. You do all the steps on, you do the first step on everything, and then you do the second step on everything, and so on. Now see here, I got too much orange right here, so I'm going to go back and hit that with the burnt umber to kill it a little bit. Oops, I did it there too. So I'll have to go back and hit that with the burnt umber a little bit. Just fine. It just adds another layer of dimension to it. No big deal. What I don't want is you to really see all the individual colors when I'm done. They should all blend together. You should get a sense of different layers going on. So like this area right here is exactly the look I'm going for. I kind of screwed up right there, so I'm going to get some of this burnt umber. It's about dried out, and knock it back a little bit. So I can see I can just go in there and add a little burnt umber, and it just knocks it right down. Same thing over here. So I have just a little bit on my brush. I'm just kind of covering up a little bit of that orange, where it went a little heavy on it. And then I'll time lapse the other two sets, but this is kind of what it looks like after step number 3. And if what I have in mind, if it goes the way I have in mind, I should have 2 more steps. So basically like 5 steps. And we'll see what it looks like. So well, 5 steps for this process and then the shading. So it's like a 6 or 7 step process, but again, the results are good. It's worth the time and the effort. All right, so there's that one. So I'll time lapse the others. So that's it for the yellow orange. Now we're going to do some yellow ochre. And we'll see what this does. This should kind of help tie this all together. Let's see what this does. Again, put some on your brush. Take most of it off. And we'll start right here. Again, each of these colors just kind of activate the ones below just a little bit and help blend it all together. Yeah, so right here is kind of what we're going for. It's hard to get on these edges. These brushes are so torn up. The bristles have a hard time reaching the edges, so I'm really trying to hit those pretty good. Yep, a little too far there, so we'll fix that in a minute, or see if it needs to be fixed. So we're getting there. This will be all I do tonight. The leather on the belts. I should be able to get this done tonight and not have to stay up till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning to do it. At least I think so. We'll see. Let's see if we can blend it in a little bit. Here we go. See? It just kind of blends in with the other colors I put down. I've gotten a lot of nice compliments on the video, so I appreciate everyone watching. I know it's not the most exciting thing to watch me do this and yammer on, but hopefully you learn something from me doing kind of experimenting and trying things out. Because a lot of times that's what I'm doing. I don't have a formula really for. I really don't have a formula for anything. I mean, I'm always trying to do stuff out. Or if I have a formula, I'm trying to always find better ways to kind of improve it. Getting there. It's getting there. It's starting to look good. And you know, I could have stopped at that. If I wanted like a darker leather, I could have stopped at that. Probably the burnt umber and just kind of done a dark leather. But I think the slightly brighter looks good against the red and the black and all that stuff. It's a nice contrast. And this will get warmed up quite a bit when I do the shading. I'll do the shading just like I did on the pouches with the clear leather tan from Garage Kits. And then I'll add a lot of warmth to it too. Done with this one. Looking good. And it doesn't have to be uniform all over the place. I mean, this is leather. And it wouldn't be exactly the same everywhere, but you know, I want it to be similar. So it's okay if you get a little more yellow in some areas or not so much in others. Or any other colors, to be honest, you know. I think that's good. So again, I'll do the other two, and then we'll look at it and see what if we want to do any more, or if we want to go back. I may go back and add a little more. I don't know. I may leave it. We'll let it dry down and see what it looks like. All right, so that's it for this one for now. Okay, so that's after the yellow ochre. Now I think we're going to do, it's a little orange in my opinion. I'm going to bring it back down. I'm going to come back in here with, all my brushes are shot. This will destroy your brushes, by the way, this technique. Even a crappy brush will get destroyed. I think I'm going to come back in here with a little more of the burnt umber and tone the orange down a little bit. So let's see what that does. And I'm going to get a nice big brush. Hopefully I don't destroy this one. Let's get the good stuff. So again, we're just going to do this real lightly. Let's see what that does. Just bring some of this down a little bit. That's not the right brush. Let's see, what do I have? What can I use now? What other brush can I destroy now? Let's see. That's why I buy cheap brushes. This might do it right here. Really like a short bristled brush. You don't care if you mess up. This may be it right here. It's kind of stiff though, maybe too stiff. Let's see. Yeah, it's doing what I want to do. I just don't like this brush. Just toning down some of the yellow and some of the orange. Just need to blend it a little more, I think. That's looking pretty good right in there. See if I work it a little more, it kind of blends it in better. So let me see if I have a different brush I can use. What's this one? Okay. I may not. Hopefully I got a brush I can use. This one I can use. That'll destroy that one too. And I can go back to this one. Let's try this one again. I have no idea if this video is going to turn out. This card is so slow, my camera keeps kind of crashing right now. So again, I just got some burnt umber on here. I'm going to just go real light. Try to knock down some of this yellow and orange. There we go. That's looking better. Yeah. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. So I really like what this is looking like right here, even though there's a bunch of different kind of tones going on. That looks pretty much exactly what I like to achieve in right here on the belt. And then by the time we go in here with the airbrush and do some shading, it's going to look really nice. Yeah, it just needs a light touch with this burnt umber again to kind of bring it back down. We bring it up, we bring it down. Again, just adds another layer of depth. But yeah, that's the trick right there. Just gotta be careful I don't do too much. So I'm just doing it real light. Am I still recording? Yes. So now I'm just really kind of concentrating on blending everything. Where before I was just kind of randomly putting stuff on. Now I'm really kind of taking my time to blend it all together. And this is looking really, really good. This is a darker leather than I had on the first Hellboy, but it's okay. It still look good. And I'll probably do a little bit of dry brushing too. Another choppy video. Sorry, guys. Eventually, I'll get all my gear working the way it's supposed to work, and my videos will be decent. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Pretty happy with how this all blended together. I'm still seeing all the colors. I'm still seeing all the way down to that black still. The initial primer. So again, just lots of layers. We got lots of nice depth. All right, yeah, that looks good. All right, we're gonna do the other two, and then if everything looks good, then I'll come in and probably do a little bit of dry brushing, not a lot. Well, I'm probably going to do the shading and see what it looks like then. It'll probably look fine after I shade it. So there's that one. So we'll do the other two. Let me show you the difference real quick. So this is right after the yellow ochre right here. And here it is after blending again with the burnt umber. So you can tell a nice difference, much smoother transitions, and it's just a much nice, softer look to the leather. This is pretty jarring. So burnt umber goes in there, just kind of softens the yellows, and the oranges kind of gets it all working together again. But yeah, it's looking good. Okay, so I went ahead and did that burnt umber again, and then I wasn't liking it. So what I did is I mixed some yellow ochre and burnt umber together, and I made this kind of tan color, which actually kind of ties it all together much better. So this is where I am, and I need to mix some more because it's drying out pretty quick. Try to get similar to what I had, and do the other two pairs. And then I was looking at my other kit that I did earlier. And then I probably won't get the leather done tonight because I have to go through and I want to paint all the trim. So I need to do that too. So I'll get this done. What time is it? Depends what time it is. I'd like to get at a reasonable time tonight. I've been staying up way too late the past few weeks, and my body's telling me to slow down. So, so we're mixing up this color. And again, just I got a wider brush. And I'm just I'm still not liking this. It's not blending very well. So I'm just taking this lighter color. Actually, I need to make it lighter than that because it's drying down a lot. So it's a little darker than I want because when I go to shade it, it's going to get even darker. So I'm just kind of mixing up this kind of color here and taking quite a bit of it off. And just going in real lightly, and I'm barely tapping this time. That's too much. Again, too much. Get this. There we go. I'm just kind of really lightly. Kind of blending it again. So I'm not going to keep doing time lapse. It's the same thing over and over again, but I'm going to do this and the other two. And then I'll see what time it is. And if it's not too late, I'll start to paint some trim. So I'll come back and show you that. Okay, so I got all the watercolor part done, but it's getting late. So I'm going to call this done for now. Not the work in progress, but tonight I'm done. But the next step will be going around and painting the trim. And I'm just going to use the Garage Kits leather, so it'll be just kind of going here. It's going to be real tedious, but I'm going to go in here and again, I'm not going to do this tonight, but we're going to go in and just paint the trim before I do any shading. So it'll be like this, kind of doing this. And if it's just to give it some another color in there. And again, once we do all the shading, it's going to look really, really good. So that is what I'm going to wait to do till tomorrow, and that'll take a long time because it just does. So so we'll continue when I get to that. Okay, so I got a new SD card. We'll see. Hopefully this won't slow down on me. So went ahead and got all the trim painted and everything, and that's what it's looking like now, or what all they're looking like now. Now we're going and do some of the shading. And again, I'm just going to use the Garage Kits transparent leather. Where did I put that? There it is, right here. Transparent leather. Same things on the pouches. kind of get in tight and accentuate the lines and everything. This will really change the color and really kind of make this look more like leather. It looks like it now, but it's just, this makes a huge difference. So I'll try to do a little bit on camera. It's really tough to get in there at the right angle and have you guys able to see what I'm doing. So again, got my pressure kind of turned down. Or do I? This seems pretty high right now. It's like a 20. I've got a little bit of alcohol over here in a cup with the Q-tip just to kind of clean my tip off every once in a while. Just having to do that with the pouches. It's like if I can just keep the paint flowing, it won't dry tip as much, you know. Okay. Well, maybe you guys, hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I don't know. But again, this is something where I have to be super close. The paint's barely coming out. Really just hitting the lines. And then just by the way you spray it, it kind of fades it out. Very dry tips and it's hard to spray. Get this little ball of paint on the end, which if you don't take care of it, it'll spurt onto your... I'm actually going to put, even though this is transparent, I'm going to put tiny, just like 1 or 2 drops of thinner in this. Also a little bit of retarder. Put a couple drops of thinner, and then a few drops of retarder. That should help the dry tipping. Oops, that was more than a few drops. And then I'm just going to get I got a toothpick here. I'll stir it around with a toothpick. Okay. Let's see if we can get that going. Let's try that. There we go. It's like anytime I want to actually spray it, the area I want to spray, the paint doesn't come out. It's coming out. It's getting there. Not sure you'll be able to see that, not yet, but I'm just gonna do a little bit on camera and then show you when it's done. I'm not even sure if you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm not sure if you can see this panel there, but it's got, yeah, I can see it in the camera there. Kind of see the shading around the edge, around the panel lines. So that's kind of what we're going to go for. So I'm just going to do this off camera and show you at the end. I'll show you once I get this one done. I'll show you a comparison between another one. Okay, so I got through shading one of these, and I think you can tell a pretty big difference. The one on the left here has been shaded, and this one has not. So after going through and accentuating all the lines and the rivets and stuff, this is what we get. And so once I get all three of them looking similar to this, I will go ahead and seal it. And then the last step on the leather will to go in with the either black or really dark brown, and just fill in all the little panel lines and stuff. And then the leather will be sealed again, and that should be done for the leather. And then as far as the belt goes, I'll be painting all the metallic bits and stuff. But so it takes about 30-40 minutes to do that. It's just, you know, it's a clear paint, so you have to build it up slowly. But this looks much better now, much closer to a leather than this. So all this work right here is the groundwork for this. So yeah, this looks good. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It's kind of hard to tell right now because it's a little shiny. Whoops. It's a little glossy right now, and everything else is messy. But once this all gets done, it's going to look really, really nice. So kind of have to see past through all the mess right now and envision what's going to look like when all the rivets are painted and everything. But that's where we are right now. So I'm going to do the other three, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I sealed everything, and now I'm just doing basically the lining, going in and just adding, I have some of this Game colored black, mix a little bit of water in there, and actually dirty water, so it's kind of a gray. And I'm just going in and filling in the lines now, and this work in progress will be done, because once this is done, the leather on the pants, or the belt I should say, is done. Looks really good. So this one will give you a good idea of what the leather looks like after everything's been sealed and the lines have been done. This will get sealed several more times throughout the different processes, so it'll have lots of protection. But this looks really, it's exactly what I wanted. So it looks really good. You can, and then I'll put just to show you. I'm not going to show you the lining process. It's real simple. You just basically get some acrylic or watercolor. You don't want it super watery, but you don't want it like full strength. And then you just basically take a thin brush, and you can, this is what I guess would be called a pin wash. If you did a wash, you would put it over the whole surface. This is a pin wash where you're very specific on where it goes. And I'm trying to be pretty neat because I don't want, since I have sealed this with the matte coat, anything that kind of bleeds over onto the belt, unless I get it off right away, it's going to stain the underlying colors, and I don't want that. So basically I'm just getting this really thin brush with some of this watered down black acrylic and just filling in the line like this. And if you do get a little bit over on the, out of the boundary, it's pretty simple. I just have a Q-tip. I kind of just wet it with my spit and wipe it off real quick, and you're good to go. So yeah, just this. Again, another. See, I just kind of messed up there a little bit. Pretty simple. Q-tip, wet it, and then just kind of, it comes right off. And this has been sealed with the Krylon mat, so water is not going to affect it after it's had a few minutes to dry. Just like that. So this is just adding another bit of detail, but it's also just cleaning up the lines between the two different colors. It's a huge difference. This looks really good. So again, I'm not going to videotape that whole process because just by showing you that little bit right there, you get the idea. And also, one thing also, we'll add just a little bit, kind of like where two things of leather meet, like right here, just right down in the crease. And again, it just kind of accentuates that shadow and just cleans up that line from, any sloppy painting that I may have done. where those two colors meet. And if you kind of mess up, just dab it. And actually right there, if it gets on there, you can just dab it. You can fade it out and make it kind of part of the shadow. Which I do sometimes. I'll use actually watercolors to do some shading. I'll thin it down really watery, and I'll just kind of let it flow over the surface and move it around. And use that for shading. So I just kind of messed up there. Again, that's because I'm trying to do it on camera. I'm not real close to it. So, but yeah, that's the process. So that's the end of work in progress number 7. I'm going to try to get this done tonight. It's late. It's midnight already. But I'd love to get this step knocked out, seal it one more time. Then tomorrow, what I'll do is probably go back and repaint the black. Because that takes, again, a tedious time. I have to go through and hand paint all the black with the black style res. And then and then the leather looks really good because it really pops. You get rid of all this messiness, but then it looks awesome. So repaint the black, and then the metallics, and then the belt's done. So maybe I'll try to get the belts done tomorrow. I don't know. We'll try. Again, I'm really underestimating how long everything's taking because I have 3 of these guys. The last time I did this, the belt took me 2 full days, like 18 hours. There's a ton of hand painting. It's tedious, a lot of details, but that's it for work in progress number 7. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time.